Hello, my name is Amit, and welcome to the Naval Sports League. This is Season 1, Week 17, Krakens versus Leviathans. For our first time watchers, the Naval Sports League, or NSL, is the ultimate naval competition in the game of Holdfast Nations at War. League battles are simple. Two teams, each led by a single admiral, pilot 5 large capital ships and 2 small support boats with the goal of sinking as many of the opponent's capital ships as they can within 35 minutes. The team that sinks more capital ships wins, and if there's a tie, we decide the winner by overall score. Teams consist of anywhere between 20 to 40 players, and the league provides mercenaries to balance out any number disparities. Every player in the league, be they a team player or mercenary, is competing hard for end of season awards and accolades. Every battle will take place on a randomly chosen map with randomly chosen wind direction. Both of these factors means that no two battles will ever be the same. The league runs from late February to November with 3 to 4 matches with a month for you to enjoy. Once that main season is over, the top 3 teams of the league will duke it out to determine who wins the champion's crown. The NSL is a collection of Holdfast's most talented admirals, officers, and crews, and the tactical gameplay you'll see here is at a higher level than anything else this game has to offer. We, the hosts and co-hosts, will be here for the entire battle to help you understand the decisions and the strategies that you'll see play out in the NSL Coliseum. So without further ado, let's get to the brief paddle coverage. Today, I'm joined by Lucius, who's been a regular correspondent throughout the season. Welcome, Lucius. How does it feel to be in the co-host seat for today?
To be honest with you, I feel a little bit nervous, but I'm absolutely ready to go and I'm thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it's very exciting, very exciting. We've got a big match coming up in a few minutes, but let's first take a look at the league standings to get a sense of how the season is progressing. So currently, what we're looking at is still the Leviathans at the top slot with 5-0. The Krakens are 5-1, 4-1. SCP-38 at 2-2. Roy Black Fleet 2-3, and Jackals 2-5, and the Marines, unfortunately, at the bottom with 1-5. So, Lucius, give me a sense of how you're feeling about all of this here. Is this? I know that you participate in these matches a lot, uh, and especially with the SCP team. What is your sense of what's going on here? Do these positions seem like they've basically settled into place, or do we perceive that there may be some big changes coming?
To be frank with you, I believe that each and every position can be switched, honestly. I can see the Marines coming back, I can see the Jackals coming back. The mid table is very prone to change here, and depending on how today's match goes, even the top 2 positions could change. So it is completely subject to change, in my opinion.
I mean, that's not a terrible way to look at it. I mean, so something I also want to draw attention to is that value of the points difference. For those of you who are wondering, in that column, those are necessary for breaking ties when two teams have the same win-loss record. Currently, you can see no teams have the same number of wins and losses, so the points don't come into play right now. But that value is also determined by how many more or less points you have compared to your opponents across all your matches, which is, as you can see, represented as a positive or negative number. Now, there hasn't actually been a lot of movement over the past 4 matches. The Marines' loss last match allowed the Jackals to put ahead into 5th place, but otherwise, there's been no change with the top 4 teams. And yeah, at week 17, we're more than halfway through the first season here. And we'll definitely be talking a lot more about this particular match between these two Titan teams, the Krakens and the Leviathans, when we get to the side-by-side comparison. All right, let's swap over to the top 5 leaderboard and get a look at who the top performers have been so far. Lucius, how about you take us through what we're seeing there?
So at the moment, we have Spicy Paper of the SCP team going with a 1.7 or 1.79 KDA, just top in the leaderboards right now. Very close behind, you have Veretta, Scorrigan, Shadow, and Daniel Franklin. All honestly great players, very deadly players. Uh, Frankly, from what I've seen all season, they might as well just stay up there for the rest of the season. They are very good at what they do, and they are very good for their admirals.
Yeah, I mean, this clearly is indicating that these guys are coming back week after week to make sure that they're staying up there, which is a good thing. We definitely want to see more people with ambition for excellence in that area. So yeah, I would expect to see a lot more carnage on the scoreboard from these guys today because I think all of them are actually playing.
Absolutely. I really can't wait to see Scorgan specifically and Veretta. Those two, look at those KDAs 3.26, 2.52. Those dudes know what they're doing. They just massacre decks like it's nothing.
All right, let's move on to the side by side comparison of this week's teams. In contrast to the previous match, these teams are representing the top half of the bracket, whereas the other ones last time, the Jackals and Marines, were representing the lower half. These two teams, Krakens and Leviathans, they're entirely comprised of their own members. They're not made up of multiple regiments, so they don't have to worry too much about the logistics of fairly assigning roles across several regiments on a team. That is something that we do think about. Us in this SCP, we're made up of like 5 regiments or something like that. So these guys have the complete flexibility to put people where they want as often as they like. And I mean, as a result, maybe there's something to be said about that because look at the positions they have in the standings. So for Admirals, we have Lemerc on the Leviathans and Killer Bogai for the Krakens. The top players for the Krakens are Verita, Skorgan, and Greece. And sorry, I mentioned Lemerc there for Leviathans. That's actually safe. Top players though for the Krakens are Verita, Skorgan, and Grice, and the one to watch is Verita, no doubt. If you recall, Verita and Skorgan have been in the top 5 leaderboard for most of the season, so no surprises there. On the Leviathan side, we have Shadow, Bob, and Paxis. Those are the top players, with M. Jugan as the one to watch. Jugan is a highly skilled captain who I've personally seen take initiative to execute daring actions on his own. So we'll see if some of that happens today. And interestingly, for a team with a perfect 5-0 record, the Leviathans, only Shadow has managed to stay in the top 5 leaderboard for a significant period of time. We've seen other people kind of creep up there, but mostly it's been the SCP and the Krakens up there, interestingly enough. So I thought that was interesting to point out. So Lucius, now we're going to each put together an argument for why we think one of these teams is going to win. I'm going to have you start with the Leviathans, and I'll follow up with the Krakens afterwards. Go ahead.
So currently, I take the Leviathans here. I mean, I've experienced how they play. I joined them in their Monday and Wednesday events. They're like a well-oiled machine. Everyone knows what they're doing. They're so organized. Their callouts are phenomenal. It's it's just unbelievable how efficient they are. Frankly, like you can even tell by the point differences. It is a 43,000 point difference to the next
Oh yeah.
team, which is the Krakens, which is a massive difference. It tells you all you need to know. These guys are great. I really believe they take it no problem.
All right, sounds good. I'm strong words, and it's spoken with experience. So good to hear. On the Kraken side, I'll start off talking about the Admiral. Killer Bow guy has been the Admiral for the Krakens throughout the entire season. I have to double check my info first for the first match, but I have checked and he has been the Admiral throughout this, with assistance from his Vice Admirals and such. I don't think his strength is that he doesn't make mistakes, but that he's learned very quickly from them and not made many new ones, which is evidenced by their own large points difference in the standings compared to any team below them in the standings. Yeah, if we ignore the Leviathans at the top, it's not even close. The other teams below the Krakens just do not even compare. At this point, I think the Krakens have hit their stride, and I really do think that they are better positioned to beat the Leviathans now than ever before. We know they have the gunnery, we know that they have the cohesion, and they have a sharp admiral as well. So what's left to see today is if they can rally all of those components when they're pressured the way that we've seen the Leviathans pressure and know them to pressure their opponents. Okay, let's swap over to the map preview and see each team's situation today. Starting out on the west side of the map, we've got the Krakens taking up the position of the UK faction. And the opposite them. On the east side, we've got the Leviathans as France. So the ship colors for France are green, and the UK on the west side is yellow. That's how you tell them apart. So yellow ships equals Krakens, green equals Leviathans. Wind, as you can see, is headed southwest. What I find interesting about this is that it is kind of doing the opposite for the Leviathans the last time they played this map. In fact, they kind of have the advantage here on two fronts. Is that number one, they've got the wind advantage, but they've also played on this map before in a match, whereas the Krakens have not. But I'm sure the Krakens would have studied that match to see what the Leviathans did in that situation. Um, the islands are laid out in a very linear fashion, essentially bisecting the map into two horizontal lanes. So this limits both teams the ability to hide from one another more than usual. But it does provide an opportunity for small boats to remain somewhat hidden if they're going from one side to another. So Lucius, undoubtedly, I don't want to say that the Krakens are underdogs in this matchup, but I know you are a captain for the SCP. You're very involved in those discussions. Tell me what these guys need to do in order to, or what? Tell me the strategies you think these guys are going to employ on the battlefield today.
I believe the Krakens are going to try and play a more of a defensive position, just because the wind is in their face to an extent. They more or less might play around the islands. They might also actually go to the south there. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, into some sort of open water so they can duke it out. Just because, to me, the linear islands, it's a hard to fight there. It really is hard to fight there. As for the Leviathans, I think they're going to take a hard advantage with the wind. They know how to use the wind. If they're able to just outmaneuver the Krakens, I think they are able to take this undoubtedly.
Yeah, I mean the Leviathans, I think, are just going to do what they always do. If they have the wind advantage, they definitely use it. Um, what they did on this map the previous time was that because the Leviathans were actually in the position that the Krakens were in, except the wind was pointing to the northwest instead. They utilized that slow wind, and they just, they took it easy. They moved to the east and allowed their opponents to move up over north, and then they just swapped sides, took the wind advantage, and went from there. Given that they already have that today, I think they're going to be pretty aggressive, and it remains to be seen what the Krakens are going to be doing. But I tend to agree with you. I think they will take a little bit more of a methodical approach to this if they can. But
Definitely
yeah,
agree there. Sorry.
I'm predicting a big battle today, though. Yeah.
Absolutely. Honestly, the gunnery that I've seen and experienced from both teams, they are superb. Like, they're very good at what they do. The stats show it on the leaderboard for the top five players, of course. Shadow is also another player to watch. I'm not sure if he's participating in this battle, but you got three players on the leaderboard that are potentially here today.
Yes, sir. Uh, Yeah, definitely an important rematch after the Krakens lost their very first match of this season to the Leviathans, and this is their chance to make up for that. And while the Krakens don't specifically need 100% to beat uh, the Leviathans to take the first place, they if they don't, they will be relying on other teams to do that for them. And like I said, I think the Krakens are the best team to try to do that. The Royal Blackfleet has done an excellent job, though, really whittling down the Leviathans in their matches too. So I think they definitely have the potential to do this as well. Okay, so the match is starting now, and I want you to, um, Lucius. I guess I'll give a minute for the teams to move out, but I've noticed that on the Kraken side they've taken out two gunboats, and there's at least. Let me just double check on the Leviathan side as well. Looks like two gunboats there as well. So double gunboats out on both sides. Lucius, tell me what the Leviathans are doing right now, since you seem to think they're going to win today.
At the moment, I believe they are moving north. Currently, it almost looks like they're going to be playing the islands. Both the Krakens and the Leviathans are going to play around the islands. It seems they're both heading to the northern end of the line. So this is potentially just going to be a death spiral. This could potentially just be shooting straight up north into the wall and just duking it out. It really could be anything right now.
By contrast, the Krakens are doing, they're doing a line abreast basically with their ships, and they're moving out, generally speaking, towards the same direction as the Leviathans here. The reason you might want to go line abreast like that, and we've seen the Leviathans do this to great effect in the past, is that if they can make a left turn all at the same time, they're now neatly in a battle line, able to engage the enemies. I am slightly concerned about the overlapping of that lead 8 gun on the, the Kraken side, though.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'm also a little bit concerned about, which I'm sure they'll fix this soon, but they shouldn't be wasting too much time being in line like that right now. The Krakens, I don't like that. Frankly, I would just keep it traditional, keep it simple, get in a battle line and go from there. And these guys are just full pedal to the metal. It's a race to the finishing line for the Krakens right now.
Yeah, it does seem a little precarious for them, as slow as they are, because they are going dead against the wind now, for them to do something like this. But I think their intention is to keep it slow, see what the Leviathans are going to do. Perhaps the Leviathans might cut back to the south somewhat. Let's talk quickly about the gunboats. You can see that the screening action from the Leviathans there, they're putting them front and center. Like they have no illusions about trying to hide these guys, whereas the Krakens have adopted a bit of a different approach. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, is they are using some of that island, the linear island, to cover the view. Whether or not the Leviathans have an eye in the sky directing and advising on this, is something we don't currently know right now, I don't think, but let me just double check our list here. Yes, I am hearing that they do. So nobody's really going to get the jump on each other. Once things start to get a little bit more intense, the battle starts to get going. That's where you start to see this. The advantage of having eye in the sky may not be as apparent as before, because things get chaotic. People don't pay as much attention, and maybe they don't hear things.
Yeah, and real quick, just to point out, the Krakens are finally getting into formation here. I
Yes, sir.
am interested in seeing where that 13 gun goes.
I do see the 13 gun. Uh, they are loading up a rowboat, and they are using it to push the 13 gun into the battle line a little bit better. I don't know if that works, but if it does, that's absolutely genius, and I love it. I'm being
That
told it does work.
that, that definitely has to have been tested before by them or
It's,
something.
I mean, why not? This is the Krakens. They're known for their ingenuity in combat. I've seen some wacky things out of them in my day, but this was just a little fun little Easter egg to see that there, and it absolutely worked. It absolutely did. That's amazing.
The more you know, right? I mean, it seems like they're going to be getting that extra little push right into the middle of their line there. Uh, and I think I was right with this Kraken lineup because it does seem like they're just going to sit there, take a defensive position, and uh, let them come, the Leviathans come to them.
It looks like the Leviathans are pulling south, though, like I had somewhat predicted just now. Um, if I were the Krakens, I would have probably moved my small boats a little bit further to the next island gap over, so that when the Leviathans try to pull out, they have an angle straight up on their ships, potentially even be able to snipe either cannon or the carronade on that 13 gun. Um, and they'd still be able to shoot and scoot and leave if they had to. But what I think is going to happen now is that the Leviathans are going to continue moving towards the gunboats. I don't think they're afraid. I think they're going to steadily try to use their wind advantage, gain speed, and move south west, close the gap as quickly as they can. Because think about what the Krakens are in a position here to do. Very little. If they want to pull out, they have to either run to the west, or they have to make a really sharp turn to the east.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it appears they're just gunning straight for the Kraken gunboats right now. I guess they're gonna try and push them off and get to the Kraken's backs and hopefully find an angle where the Krakens just can't shoot back at them. That's really interesting to see. It looks like they're going to be taking a lot of fire for the time being, but if they believe they're confident that they can do this, take that risk, then it should be all good.
Well, then now's this time. Now's a good time as any to mention that if you look at the top of the screen, there is the ship HP values for all of the ships on the board here, and something to note is that the ship HP is greatly increased over the vanilla game. So if a particular team wants to get close and get into some heavy combat, they can do that without their ship sinking too quickly. The main concern at that point is how many cannons are you going to lose, um, and whether they can weather that kind of storm. So, no pun intended there. uh, so yeah, we're seeing a very aggressive push to limit the Kraken's ability to move here.
Yeah, and just wow, look at that fire coming in from the Krakens on that lead A gun. It is just destructive. I would be scared to go through that gap. That is a lot of fire coming towards them. Even the Kraken gunboats are making short work of the Leviathan gun crews right now. They're just standing their ground and they're trying to trade out their gunboats, it looks like right now.
I mean, they're doing what they can. A cannon just
Ooh.
blew up on one of those Kraken's gunboats. Great shot from the Leviathans. And this is exactly what I thought the Leviathans were going to do here. They're going to prevent a breakout attempt from the Krakens to move south. So they have very little opportunity to use the wind if they wanted to. Um, and it looks like they might. I thought they were going to stop. Maybe not then. So they might be trying to go and sweep the legs out from the Krakens from behind, but I feel like the Krakens will just move south and get behind them at that point.
Yeah,
We'll have to wait and see.
definitely. I mean, the gunboats are just going left and right. I mean, Leviathan struck first blood, lost the gunboat. They're about to lose. The Kraken are about to lose their second gunboat here momentarily if they're not
Yeah.
careful.
I mean, if I was them, I at this point it's kind of a lost cause for that gunboat. I'd be trying to board that thing right away, at least one of those 8 guns, and cause some chaos a little bit.
And
This
look at
this is not going to
this.
be good for the. Oh, what a trap! So
Yeah,
this is genius.
this is
Leviathans
really
have
bad.
left most of their fleet behind and to block, and then they're taking two of their ships around to the rear.
This could be really bad for the Krakens right now. I mean, a 13 gun and an 8 gun with a good crew can do a lot of damage here, especially since the Krakens are showing their backsides to the Leviathans here. This could be really, really dangerous for them. And there they go. They just start showing their shots off on that 13 gun, and there's an explosion on the Kraken 13 gun right as they start going.
Lucius, this might be a hot take of mine, but I think the Krakens should turn sharp south and push through that line formation of the 8 guns from the Leviathans there at the rear. Get the hell out of there. They're moving so slowly against the wind. They have enough HP to survive a move like that still. They just don't have the angles to fire back on what's coming at them right now.
I absolutely agree with you. Right now, I would try my best to get out of this trap just because they're facing fire from two directions. They have a chance to get at that line of 8 guns from the Leviathans and kind of just get out of that line of fire. Right now, just look at that formation. It's scattered. Meanwhile, the Leviathans are just calm, composed, just doing what they do best, firing like there's no tomorrow. And look at that. The 13 gun can't get a good angle. The 8 gun behind the 13 gun can't get an angle. Is that poor 8 gun up front is just going to get a terrible barrage of cannon fire right now.
So while the Kraken's fleet is somewhat not in the best position. I don't think they're scattered so much. I think Killer Bowl Guy has managed to rally his forces, and they're kind of doing what I had suggested, but a little bit slower than I would have liked to see. Um, but they are managing to do it. And yes, the Krakens are about to lose their big explosions there on the Kraken's 13 gun flagship. There, it's about to go down another couple of shots. And but look at the health on the Leviathan's gunship. It's not like they had or flagship. It's not like the Krakens haven't done damage to it. And I think because of those two
And
gunboats
there
going
she
down
goes.
initially, yeah, they have an opportunity here to sink that 8 gun there. Oh, it's running now. The Leviathan's 8 gun stuck around, knowing that they have a lot of HP. What a valiant thing to do from that captain. I'm gonna take a zoom in there and see who that is.
And another 8 gun goes down, I believe. Nope, that might be a gunboat, actually. I apologize. Yeah, that is
Treehouse
a gun.
Animations. Sorry. Treehouse
Correct.
Animations was that Leviathan's 8 gun that stayed back, braved 3 8 guns and the 13 gun from the Krakens, managed to sink it basically with help from 2 of their other ships. This is basically a masterclass in tactics and strategy here from the Leviathans.
Yeah, this is just defeat in detail right here. I mean, you can
I
look
wouldn't
at
say
the
that. Look at the HPs on the screen there, though. Is it all that different?
not necessarily, but you gotta admit, taking down their 13 gun that quick and just look how sturdy and how much health they have right now. They're in a great position to just like take the ball and run with it, you know?
Yeah, I don't actually hate where the Krakens are right now. Look, they have some more small boats coming out and assisting with them. They actually have a rocket boat that just fired at the rear of the Leviathan's 13 gun, did some HP damage there. Um, I predict that thing's going to go down very, very soon. Let me get a look at that. I believe there's a boarding action happening right now.
I believe I do say that. It looks like they're trying to get out of there, and
Yeah, they
that
managed to repel it.
that Leviathan A gun, I believe, is turning to try and ward off those gunboats from firing their 13 gun right now.
But yeah, I mean, the Kraken's 8 guns are well positioned to mostly support each other, perhaps not as well as the Leviathan's 8 guns. I think I may have misspoken, and said 13 guns just now. I meant 8 guns. And they also have the advantage of their fourth 8 gun that is still off to the northwest and pounding from the other side. I give the edge to the Krakens in that engagement there. Um, I mean, what are your thoughts on this, Lucius? Because like the for at least another minute or so, the Leviathans are a little bit out of the main battle here.
Yeah, now that you pointed out, the Krakens are actually starting to turn it back pretty good. I mean, you have the Leviathan 13 gun close to sinking. You got an 8 gun that's close to sinking, and right now, the 3 8 guns of the Krakens are in great position to just continue firing down their line. I mean, just look at where they're at. I think they're
This is
in
a joy to
fantastic.
watch, honestly. Like, there's a lot going on, but it doesn't feel super disorganized. We can see that the Leviathan's 8 guns pulled out, trying to regroup with their other 8 gun and 13 gun, trying to do what they can to basically shield and protect the 13 gun, which obviously has the range advantage here. All the while, they're distracting with one of their 8 guns moving towards the south, towards the other 3 Kraken's 8 guns. I've seen a similar maneuver, I think, on the same map in the previous match that
I
Leviathans
hate to
did.
cut you off, but
Let me
look
see.
off to the
Yeah,
southwest. Look at that. I believe that's a Leviathan crew just charging, unless they just got
yeah.
sunk there.
Well, we saw Atticus do this in his 8 gun previously against, I think it was against the RBF. Might have been the same map. And it's perhaps not going as well as they'd expected, but they did what they needed to do then, and they did what they needed to do now. They've distracted the 8 guns from the Krakens from being able to follow up and help that lone 8 gun from the Krakens that's getting blasted right now. And that's probably likely to go down in the next 30 seconds or so, based on what we're seeing with the um, Leviathan 13 gun firing. Very, very action packed match. Let's see what the gunboats are doing. We've got what looks like a gunboat coming in from the rear of the central Kraken's 8-gun. Seems to have a few people on it. I don't know if they're going to be trying to. Oh, it just sank. So they're in swimming distance, but it's not looking so hot for those people. They may be sitting out there for some time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first 8-gun from the Krakens just went down.
Oh, and it appears we have a D-mast. Let's go ahead and get a look at
Yeah.
that real quick.
Demast on that 8-gun from the Leviathans, just closing in behind the 13-gun flagship for Leviathans. Still in the fight, but their rear is turned. They're not able to adequately put fire back onto the enemies.
And this could be especially dangerous right now. I mean, just look at those 8-guns on the Krakens. They're damn near untouched, really. I apologize for that, but they are just almost brand spanking new. There's nothing done to that. Obviously, there's a little bit of damage there, but otherwise, great condition. Their crews are firing as far as they can. They're getting shots in. I mean, they're whittling down the Kraken 8 guns and 13 guns slowly but surely. And with the time they have currently, they very well are capable of evening the odds and stealing this from the Leviathans.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You're certainly correct that the HP values do seem to be more optimistic from the Kraken side, especially with that D mast on one of the Leviathan's 8 guns. But we have to remember that that 13-gun flagship is still alive and kicking. So that no matter whether it's got 1 HP or it's full HP, if it's got its cannons, it can outrange all of those 13 guns, or sorry, those 8 guns. And we just saw an amazing shot from Baboof there, killing Spicy Paper. Uh, so that's one less cannon for the Krakens to use. They need to close the distance and kill that flagship if they want to have any hope of winning this. Because the longer you stay at range, the longer it's going to take for them to.
And another one.
Yeah, they're just not going to survive it. Unfortunately, the Krakens once again are against the wind, and they're completely against the wind. So their ability to catch up and kill that 13-gun flagship or any ship on the Leviathan side is going to be very tough for them. But you can see one of those Kraken ships is becoming more aggressive now. They are trying to take the initiative and move in there and basically fully decapitate that Leviathan's 8-gun that's been disabled somewhat with its D-mast.
Absolutely. They currently the Leviathans have some gunboats. They have a whole arsenal of gunboats to work with currently, which definitely could be a big factor in how this is played. Just because those gunboats are really dangerous. Honestly, I'm surprised Mr. Scott of the isn't doing as well as I thought he would. Honestly, he's a really key player. He's a very good man of the Leviathans. He does what he can on the gunboats, and he does a really good job from my personal experience. And I'm surprised I haven't seen more gunboat work from them this game.
Okay, I just want to draw attention to the Leviathan's main portion of their fleet. They've left behind that disabled one. I don't want to say disabled, but somewhat handicapped ship, and they are pressing the south advantage. They've got a great formation. They're just firing right into the rear of one of those Kraken ships. And while the Kraken still have 3 of their 8 guns up, I believe the one that is being hit is the one that has the least amount of health on it. Yeah, we can see it dropping down on the leaderboard there, or the HP board at the top. And you can see now that rear Kraken's 8-gun is starting to realize what a mistake it is to stay all the way up here and not chase down and support their ships.
Potential boarding action on the Leviathan or Kraken 8 gun, I
Kraken's
believe that
8-gun
is.
at the rear there. Yeah, I saw that coming up previously on that same ship, and it did not happen. But I definitely think that rowboat's going to get there. Whether it's going to have any consequence on how this match goes is going to be something else entirely.
Now, this is interesting. That same 8 gun is turning off to the southeast east. I am not sure whether I like that. It might be a gun issue. I don't really have a view of their deck currently, but I honestly would try and just do a sharp angle to the southwest and get as close as I can and just hammer them from behind. I mean, given the Leviathan health on 3 of their shifts, I would just go in for the kill here, try and draw blood.
That rear 8 gun from the Krakens is pretty far off. If they were a little bit closer together, as I would have hoped they would be, they would definitely be able to focus fire that lead 8 gun a little bit more. I don't know why they're not fully focusing the
And
13
another
gun.
Kraken 8 gun
They
goes
are.
down.
And there it is. Yeah. Still quite a bit of HP on the other two. Well, only half on I think it's the lead one there, but I really feel like they had an opportunity to close in faster when the Leviathans had turned south again, and sending that other 8 gun up towards the disabled one was just not the play there. Something to consider is that these guys do have neutral, or they actually don't see the HP of their enemies on the scoreboard at the top. However, I believe both of these teams have Eye in the Sky in Spectator, which would allow them to see the HP values, which means that the Krakens should have known how little HP there is on
Ooh, lovely
um,
shot.
that 13 gun, and they might still sink it here. If they do, and they manage to sink that really, really disabled Leviathan's 8 gun back there, then
Speaking of
perhaps.
which, another demasting on that disabled
Yeah,
8
I
gun,
just
and
noticed that, yeah.
it is about to sink. It's on the verge of just going down. Alongside that, look at the 13 gun, also just on the verge.
I just want to draw attention really quickly to the number of rowboats that are just going in deep and hard on that 8 gun from the Leviathans that just pulled north again. Definitely an effort to distract. Uh, I think, let's see who that daring captain is there. That is Eggs Benedict. And I do hear Isa Pizza saying we do have extra hands. They have things well in hand there.
Oh man, it's just so close to going down. I'm just waiting on that 13 to pop. I'm waiting on
Yeah.
the 8 gun to pop. I don't know what's we're waiting for currently. I'm sure I'm missing it because I'm not too sure about how the health looks
I'll go
for each
take a look
ship.
right now, but in the moment, yeah, keep your eyes on the big prize over there, because this is possibly one of the closest matches we've seen between the Leviathans and another team. I know I've spoken about the Royal Black Fleet before, but the ship HP difference, if this, I think that, oh, there it goes, that 8 gun, that disabled 8 gun from the
Finally.
Leviathans is now gone. They Krakens had an 8 gun, or sorry, gunboat left over, and that was key.
I believe that is I believe that's a missed opportunity. Just waiting so long to sink that Leviathan 8 gun. I believe that is a really big missed opportunity there. If they sank it sooner, they would have had more resources available to take on the rest of the Leviathan fleet. And I mean, if you look at it now, the Kraken, another Kraken 8 gun is about to sink, and all we have left is this
It's
one.
going in hard though. They really want to sink that 13 gun, and as they should. Unfortunately, there was maybe about a third HP on the one that's about to sink prior to the 13 gun really messing it up as it came in there. But this is a grueling battle. No doubt about it. Lots of boarding actions. Perhaps not as much DMAS as we saw in the previous match between the Jackals and the Marines, but you cannot say that these teams are not ferocious. You cannot say that the Krakens are not willing to get in there and brawl and fight for every tooth and nail. Fight tooth and nail for every bit of HP that they're going to take or lose.
Look at this here. The Krakens are sending men over to the 13 gun and trying to distract them as much as they can while they bring their guns to bear on the left.
I'm just gonna zoom in on this 13 gun versus 8 gun action here. The Leviathans have counterboarded the 8 gun, and they've taken it out, but all the same, it was very epic to see that happening there. Um, I'm just utterly shocked that this 13 gun is still up. It's so disabled.
I I just have no idea how they survive that. That is incredible by the Leviathans just managing to keep this alive. I Well done to the crews. Very well done to the crews for managing to keep that alive. That is extremely impressive and extremely hard to do, especially uh, going against the caliber of the Krakens. That is extremely difficult to do.
What I'm slightly confused about is why the gunboat from the Krakens did not go over and help kill uh, the 13 gun. Like, it's a bit of a mystery because if you look at the HP on the 8 gun that they were attacking, it was, I mean, they killed the disabled one, but the other one was still very much not very much untouched. So, and they at this point know, they absolutely know that the Leviathan's 13 gun was a hair's width away from dying. Just look at the HP; you can't even see it. It's so
Not
small.
one bit.
If they got a carpenter on that ship somehow, which is highly unlikely now, they absolutely would have been able to do something there. Now, I don't want to say it's over because it ain't over until the fat lady sings, as Will Smith would say in Independence Day. There is over 7 minutes left to go in this match. Um, if that 13 gun, sorry, excuse me, the 8 gun from the Krakens can somehow utilize the wind because it is going towards the southwest. They can utilize a little bit of it perpendicular wise to make up some of that distance. I think within 7 minutes they could do it and try to sink that 13 gun just for the
Absolutely.
points alone. I don't see them winning this anymore, but you know, 10 minutes ago I wouldn't have said that.
Absolutely. And I mean, the Kraken still have the heart in the fight in them because look at that. They dropped off a bunch of their crew behind them into the gunboats, and look at that. I believe they're turning it towards the Leviathan 8 gun to actually start firing on them, which is, frankly, I don't think we've seen that a whole lot in the NSL at all. Do you remember anything, or any sort of occurrence of that?
As you said that, I apologize for going blank there. I was, going through my mind palace there to think of that, and perhaps it happened and I just don't remember or haven't seen it. But I will defer to your expertise on that matter.
We'll definitely have to take a look at that and get something from the 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 gentleman working on the stream today. But at the moment, if you look at the positions, it's honestly, given the time,
It's tough. Yeah, I mean,
it's tough.
the HP being at half, it's not something to say they can't do anything with it, but I mean, look at the Leviathan's 13 gun. They know they're donezo. So they're like, I'm out, chat. They left because they don't want to get anywhere into a position where they're going to be at risk of taking one unlucky shot from the Krakens there. So I really think
Oh wow.
the Leviathans are going to have an easy time picking apart this last ship here. The boarding action that's going on is pretty intense there on that gunboat though. So if if the Krakens can somehow hold on to that gunboat for like a minute or two and do some long range shooting on that 13 gun somehow, it's not going to happen. But like if they can, that would be pretty epic. 30-second respawn time on these ships, right? So, um, but unfortunately, there is still a battle going on in that gunboat. Yeah, but unfortunately, that gunboat is going the opposite direction that the Krakens needed to go if they wanted to commandeer it for a few moments. And yeah, and it's being steered towards a rowboat with Leviathan's crew on it. So if they really needed to, they could just utilize that again. for defense.
Yeah, and it. I'll,
We got
I'll
a
give it,
gigantic rowboat. Yeah,
and I'll frankly give it to the Krakens though. They put in a monstrous amount of effort in a very good fight. I mean, it was really well done. Like this strategies that they presented themselves a little bit shaky at the start when they had a 13 gun and an 8 gun shooting at their rear ends, but other than that, I thought they did really, really good work just maneuvering. I mean, their admiral, uh, Killer Bow Guy, and Wavy, they did a fantastic job just navigating that crisis.
I agree.
And frankly, I just think it was too little, too late. Even right off the bat, they just got caught at a disadvantage, and that's the Leviathans for you. They just once they see a crack, like they'll go for it and they'll bring down your whole setup. That's just how they do things.
So one of the things I want to point out though is that we have the luxury of looking at this from above, right? We see things as they're happening, and I'm not saying that they don't have that as well, but the people on in the water, the captains, they do not see this, and we've got a pretty big boarding action.
Wow.
Eight on eight violence here with an additional rowboat from the Krakens going up onto that 8 gun of the Leviathans. While
Yeah,
we've been talking a lot, but there hasn't been a ton of shooting, and that's just simply because these teams have whittled down each other's offensive capabilities so much. Like there are barely any cannons alive on any ship at this point, except for one of the Leviathans that's constantly firing in and doing very little damage to the Kraken's 8 gun there.
yeah, and I mean, just you can tell by the rate of fire. It's just like you said, they just whittled each other down. I
We
mean,
got a demast
oh
right there.
wow, there it is.
What an unfortunate thing to happen here, because look, that if there are only cannons left on that 8 gun from the Krakens, they could just tickle that 13 gun out of existence.
And debatably, they could almost steal away that 8 gun as well, but it's not. I don't think they can do much at this point. It just seems like
I
they're
mean,
all out
this
of
is
gun.
great. Look at this. I'm sorry to cut you, but we've got this amazing D-mast. The
Wow.
Krakens, it looks like their own ship that they're destroying here, but it's actually the Leviathan's 8 gun. They're certainly not going to let the salt get rubbed into the wound on this one, Lucius. The only saving grace that the Krakens could hope for is to even out the points on this, and I certainly think they're doing that.
And
I'm
it
going to
looks
quickly
like,
take a look at the scoreboard and see what's going on here.
and there she goes. That is
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
The Leviathans have emerged the victor.
What a match! What a match!
I mean, that was just an absolute dogfight.
I know that the previous match was really good, really crazy, lots of boarding actions and stuff, but we saw all of that and more today. And I'm just absolutely so pleased to see what happened here. Two amazing teams, the two top moving teams, exactly what we expect to see from them. And you may not even thought this was capable from the Krakens based on what we saw 2 matches ago when the SCP fought them, and it was a little bit slow. And but the Krakens did very well there. Today we saw a bit of uncomfortableness that I was talking about that the Leviathans like to put their enemies into, and I think you're right. They managed to very well trying to make the best of what was not a great situation. Um, any final initial impressions of the battle, Lucius, before we move on to trying to get the admirals in here?
I mean, I definitely won't say the Leviathans are invincible, but they sure are just undeniable. Those guys, they know their business. And if anyone is going to be able to stop them, I believe it will be the Krakens in the future if they do play each other again.
Yeah, I mean, like I said it twice, and I'll say it again. The Krakens are not, or sorry, excuse me, the Leviathans are not invincible. Like we've seen some close matches between Royal Black Fleet and the Krakens or Leviathans before. Usually that came down to around 2v2, and then maybe like a 2v1 timer runs out, or the Leviathans managed to sink that last ship from the RBF. Today, this was incredible. It was it was like I said, tooth and nail. And I couldn't be any happier with this. Okay, it's looking like we're getting our captains, excuse me, the admirals into the chat here. Let me see who we've got. Safe, you were the admiral today. Congratulations, sir. How are you feeling?
Oh, it was a nail biter for
Nail biter.
certain. But either way, I'm feeling good about that one. I'm glad to get the hat trick. 3 for 3.
How sweaty are your armpits right now in your shirt?
Oh,
Soaked, I can
I'm gonna
imagine.
take a shower as soon as I'm done here.
I have to take a shower right after this, just commentating and watching it. Okay, so we saw how the match played out, but was your thinking coming into the match that there was any possibility that this could have happened? Is it anything like what you had planned for and expected at all?
I expected it to be a real nosebleed and that everybody was gonna get a black eye. No one was gonna come out of this battle unscathed. Um, it it was a brawl to say the very least. There were even a couple of moments where I even spawned in to help repel boarders on some of the ships.
That that is a very dire situation to be in. So actually, early on in the match, you guys obviously had the advantage of the win. Your style is to get close because if you want to really decisively defeat your enemies, you have to get in close. You have to dish out that damage. Lucius, you had mentioned in that period where the Leviathans were moving their formation through that gap in the center islands, that you were somewhat concerned about what was about to happen there. I want to know what was going through your mind, Safe. Obviously, you set up a kind of a situation where you had the three ships stay back there, and then you had your 8 gun and a 13 gun curve around, get behind. It was a great pincer maneuver, I think. Was that your intention from the beginning? Was that something that you had considered before the match had begun?
Absolutely not. It was something that I saw how it was unfolding, just made a call in the moment. It because I saw what was happening. I saw that they were starting to wrap back around to the south to pick up wind, and I wasn't about to just let them sail behind us and do the exact same thing that I was about to do to them.
Yeah, and that's normally what you would probably see from some other groups, and that's what I was saying. I was just like, I don't know what they're doing here. Why would they sail around back and then lose that wind? And that was where I noticed that those three ships stayed behind, and I thought, of course, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't you want to pin them there? And we've seen stuff like that before from the Leviathans, so I don't know why I was surprised by that, but pleasantly surprised though, right? Um, okay, so when it comes to the gunnery of these teams, we saw that there was very few cannons left at the end of the match. The formations also tended to spread out towards the mid to late game. Was that something that you specifically had told your captains to do, or was because we've seen this before? I've watched your first match that you admiraled, and it was somewhat similar, but there was also a match that Leviathans had played on this map previously, and it looked somewhat similar to that. Did you guys go back and watch your previous match and utilize some of that same stuff, and trust your captains to do what needs to be done, or was there a little bit more strategy behind it for you in that mid to late game?
Uh, that was uh, that was more so just how it unfolded. Being up above, I could see what the ship HPs were, and there was there were the two 8 guns by the group of three, and then there was one that was off almost by itself. It was by the crippled 8 gun that lost a mast, and it I don't know what happened. I'd say I got very lucky in the sense that that 8 gun eventually sailed away, and there was a time where it had very little presence. There wasn't a whole lot near it. That being said, though, it was a very healthy 8 gun, which is there was a moment where I had eggs split, just do a 180 and go back towards that 8 gun to head him off because I did not want that healthy 8 gun facing the 8 gun, that treehouse, and the 13 gun because they were like next to nothing. They had
Yeah.
very little health left.
So, quick question for you. Out of everything that you faced during this absolute dogfight, of a NSL match. What would you say was the most difficult part to deal with from the Krakens?
Uh, the Krakens knocked out a lot of our cannons, and so at the very end there, it was a bit of a knuckle drag because there were moments where on Treehouse's ship, in the group of three, he only had one gun left to really contribute to the battle, and then that 8 gun almost got sunk right at the very end with a huge boarding party from the 8 gun. Um, I haven't, and previous matches haven't that badly crippled. It takes me back to the battle between us and the Sea Wolves in the preseason because that was also a match where a
Oh yeah.
lot of cannons got destroyed.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, you guys really, I just wanted to point out that you guys did a really good job at just outmaneuvering them. I don't want to say it was like a complete stop, but you guys were able to take small advantages and just make a mountain out of a molehill there. And I just want to say, do you make that up on the fly, or do you kind of just have this plan based off of what movements you think they're gonna do, or like how do you go about planning this stuff?
So I'll be honest, I didn't know I was going to be admiraling this match until it was Wednesday that I was told that I would be admiraling. So I only had a few days to make preparations. That being said, I do my best work under pressure. So what I like to do is take the overhead map image and just stare at it and begin drawing lines and then planning thinking from the perspective of the Kraken, thinking what is their best possible maneuver and then make that the worst possible thing they could do. So they set up a defensive line, which is not a bad idea because they had highly unfavorable wind. That being said, they left that gap open for the fleet to get through between the islands, and so ultimately, any attempt to turn starboard, turn to their right, which is what they did, it would take them dead into the wind, and so it would hold them there for quite a while. Now they could have flipped port side to try and pick up the wind that way, but what would have happened there was a gunfight at the wall, and that could have turned out a little differently. But um, as history will tell us, they decided on a northeastern course, which was dead into the wind. Um, Another thing that I do is I load up the map and I time out sort of what positions can our ships get to in a certain amount of time versus what they can do. In other words, I timed out that our fleet can reach the middle of the map, regardless of a north or southern approach, in about 3.5 minutes. It would take the KRN about almost 6 minutes to do the same thing because of the unfavorable wind. So I had the ability to sort of dictate, like, regardless of where they go, how the
Mhm.
battle would unfold.
Okay. Well, thank you for your insight, Safe. It's always great to get into the mind of someone who uh, can easily work under pressure. Congrats on your victory again. We're going to turn it over to the Krakens here. We have Vice Admiral Wavy and our beloved, my very good friend Percy here from the Krakens. Welcome. Great match, by the way. You should be very proud of yourselves. How are you feeling right now?
Thank you. Well, obviously sad that we didn't win, but we're at least happy that we did a damn sight better than we did in our last match against the Leviathans, which, if
Absolutely.
I'm perfectly honest, going into this battle, this was the map setup and wind setup that we have least been looking forward to out of any match we have in the NSL. So we knew, okay, we can win. Do we think we're actually going to win with this wind, with this map, against a team that's very aggressive and is just as good, if I'm not going to say better because I have some pride left. Just it was at least as good as us at gunnery. Do we think we're going to win? Probably not. So we're happy that we did better than the last one.
Yes.
At least.
Once you'd seen the, sorry, go ahead, Lucius. I'll ask after.
I was gonna ask you, Wavy. Um, so for this match specifically, were you planning on going for a more defensive route, just one of those you come to me and once you do, I'm just gonna rip you to shreds, or what was your action plan here?
Yeah, pretty much. We spent a lot of time thinking about this one again because it's both a very simple map in that there's literally only two routes, give or take, that the enemy can take. They go in the upwind side of the islands, they go in the downwind side of the islands, and the same for us. And we kind of came to the conclusion that we had to play this one quite defensively just because, I mean, as Safe said earlier, they can cover so much more of the map than we can, so we can't get very far to develop any specific strategies. And the more aggressive one of going up the downwind side, we figured would probably end up with X turning in behind us and trying to make it into a death spiral. So we decided to take the more defensive approach on the basis of, yeah, it's a bit safer, a bit more predictable. But we got a higher chance of actually winning a straight line fight than we do a death spiral where they have the wind advantage. Which is, of course, how we became a little bit unstuck in our last battle.
Did you anticipate at all that they might split their fleet in some manner to try to pin you down the way they did?
So yes, both yes and no, in that we anticipated that they might go behind us as they did, and our initial plan was then to turn away downwind and fight the line battle at the wall, because we'd quite happy taking that.
Right.
What we didn't quite expect so much is that they would come in at the angle they did and go through that island channel right next to us. We thought they might take the one further up, and that might have been our undoing in some respects, as it gave us some very juicy shots as they came in there. And we were like, oh, we can take these shots. And this kind of led to a bit of inertia and indecision of, well, we could turn away and get ready, but we want to take these shots. And we didn't quite transition from that plan of turning downwind to, right, these shots are good, just go all in on the upwind turn.
Okay, yeah.
As soon as we could have, and then that led to the fleet overlap. They were behind us before we were even finishing the turn, and a whole lot of problems, which I'm not saying were insurmountable, but they certainly put us very much on the back foot as they got in behind us. They got the good shots, they took out the 13 gunner, and maybe if we'd moved faster, we could have rescued that situation, done a lot better than we ended up doing in that initial stage of the battle.
We're cannon gremlins. We want to shoot cannons and we want to see them go boom.
I am very pleasantly surprised to see how well that 8-gun that was detached from the Krakens for quite some time did in surviving against, it was another 8-gun and 13-gun from the Leviathans and a couple of other 8-guns from Leviathans on the opposite side. At one point, you guys had a nice battle line against 3 of their ships, and then your 4th 8-gun was firing from the other side. So it wasn't terrible. I mean, you made lemon out of lemonade out of lemons, if you could.
Yeah.
I do want to ask quickly about your strategy behind the gunboats, though, because initially it seemed like you were trying to just kind of keep them out of harm's way and ambush the enemies as they came towards you. Was there any talk at all about getting behind them initially and hurting, or do you think that?
So
Yeah, go ahead.
we with the initial once they into our spawn, gunboat strategy kind of went out the window. It became a case of just shoot what you can. But initially, we had them in that island gap, and the idea was, okay, if they end up going into a line battle to the wall, we can have our gunboats there shooting into the rear of our fleet, or more importantly, taking on their gunboats and keeping them occupied for as long as they can and sink them. Then, of course, Saith makes his decision, and the Leviathans fleet goes into the gap where our gunboats are sat, and they don't really have time to react and get out of there. And I think at that point, once they're sinking from that, that's when there's no really any gunboat strategy after that. It's just a case of spawn in. If you can get behind their 13 gun and shoot it to death, do that. But it's a mad melee in the spawn area, so just go with whatever you can. And it was all up to the gunboat captains at that point.
Yeah, I understand that, and I mean they were well positioned to get into the combat really quickly, so that certainly helped. Lucius, do you have any other questions you want to ask these guys?
At the moment, I have nothing for you.
Okay, so I want to ask quickly then, what is your takeaway from this battle, Wavy? Obviously, it wasn't a severe loss, but if we look at the points difference, it is in excess of, I think, 13,000 points. So it doesn't seem that way from the battle itself with the number of ships sank, but that kind of goes to show that there was a lot of destruction that the Leviathans dished out. What are you doing going forward? This is, I believe, your last match against them. You're not going to face them again.
It is unless things really go to shit for one team or the
Yeah.
other.
No, you will see them in
Wait,
the
am I allowed
Champions
to say that
League.
word on stream? Oh well. Unless things
You
go
already
badly
have.
wrong,
Continue.
we will face them again in the championship at the end of the season. Which is going into this battle, we kind of realized it doesn't really matter too massively whether or not we win or lose this, because even if we win, they have such a big points difference over all the other teams. The chances of actually catching up and getting that first spot, we figured they're fairly low. We just want to, if we do lose, don't want the gap to be too big so that we can maintain our second place in the team and then look to the championship and fight them there. Hopefully, at last, we will actually not be the downwind team in a battle against the Leviathans when that rolls around. So, as for takeaways tactically, I think the main one here is once again work on the old indecision and be a bit snappier with the responses sometimes.
I think
Very
also
good.
just not letting
go
our butt be exposed is another one. That's there's a couple times we've just like to leave our rear end just hanging out for people to come and take, and we need to stop doing that.
Okay. I do have one final question for you.
Sure.
When did it become apparent to you that the Leviathan's 13 gun flagship was like a hair's width away from death? And was there any discussion about trying to chase that thing down and get that blast one or two cannon shots on it
There
with
was
like a gunboat or something?
There was a long saga of like the 13's on like a quarter of itself, get after it. It's less than a quarter, get after it, or whatever. But some of our ships couldn't because they were in their own battles and it wasn't really practical for them to get out. I know at the end, Pelander on her 8 gun was like we were trying to recruit people, everyone we could to board and try and take it out with axes. Right at the very end of the battle, when we'd taken over that 8 gun that was basically out of HP, we were a degree or two. We needed to turn the boat to get angle with their cannon, X's cannon, to shoot at X's 13 gun. We had Pelander already cannon loaded to shoot. So there was definitely a lot of stuff about that. But we also realized for quite a lot of it, well, they're just going to sail off into the distance. They're not going to let us get at them. We need to take on the more immediate threats first, rather than go chasing them. And maybe if we'd had another minute, we could have taken them out with that one cannonball. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
but we'll
majority
never
of this
find out.
match was completed by the 7-minute mark, and certainly there's still a lot of HP on those 8 guns that you had. But war is hell. Things don't always go the way you expect it to.
Yeah, they never do.
Okay, Percy and Wavy, thank you for joining us,
Thank you for
and
having us.
we wish you all well in the matches to come. Next week is going to be the SCP-38 versus the Royal Black Fleet. Lucius and myself are from the SCP, so you can absolutely believe we're going to be taking some notes from here on how to be mad dogs when it comes to the close range stuff. RBF, as I said before, tough opponent to go up against when they're fighting the Leviathans. So they were the first match that SCP had faced, and neither team managed to sink any ships. So hopefully we see that next week. All right, I'm going to take a moment to thank our correspondents today. We had Mika and Muffin Top Scout, and our arena manager or director was Atticus. And I don't rightly know who our arena manager was today, but whoever it was, thank you very much. With that, thank you for watching the NSL. Come back for more next week, and we'll see you then.